Good morning, everybody. This is Narayan and Prashant again. So, in the last lecture class, we discussed about the concept of inheritance and its types. We had also discussed about some of the example programs for inheritance. So, in today's lecture class, in continuation to inheritance, we will discuss about multipath inheritance. Multipath inheritance. As the name suggests, so the multipath inheritance, a class which is deriving features from base class through multiple paths. That is, a derived class is going to inherit the feature from base class through multiple paths. Just see this diagram. You have class A. Initially, it will act as a base class, which is going to provide features to two subclasses, that is class B as well as class C. And again, in the next level, we have one more type of inheritance, that is class B, and class C is going to act as a base class which will provide its features to another class called class D. So in this diagram, if you closely follow, you have two different types of inheritance. One is the hierarchical inheritance. The upper part is hierarchical inheritance, that is class A, which is providing features to class B as well as class C. And the lower part will act as a multiple inheritance, that is class D is inheriting features from more than one base class, that is class B as well as class C. So this combination of both hierarchical as well as multiple inheritance, collectively you can call it as multipath inheritance. In other term, I can say this class D is getting some features of class A through two different paths. One of the path is through class B and another path is through class C. So here class D is receiving the features of class A through two different paths. One is through class B as well as through class C. So this class D is able to receive features from two different parts, and hence you can call it as a multipath inheritance. Just check out the data structure. Class A, public, int x, only one variable which is public. Then you have two derived class, that is class B as well as class C, which inherits publicly class A. Then class D inherits class B as well as class C. So this shows the data structure for this particular multipath inheritance. So here class A has a data member called X. This X is openly available at class B and also at class C. Again, class D is inheriting the features from class B as well as class C. Therefore, this X will available to class D through class B, as well as this X will be available to class D through class C. That means two copies of data member X is available in the class D. So at this time, when compiler try to access the variable X, that is data member X, it will receive a little bit of confusion because two copies of data members are available and it will confuse to access which data member, and this results in ambiguity problem. This results in ambiguity problem because you have X which is inherited from class A as two copies, one copy through class B and another copy we received through class C. So this is the ambiguity problem which is available in the multipath inheritance. One of the very famous solution to this ambiguity problem occurred in multipath inheritance is virtual base class. So the concept of virtual base class will solve this ambiguity problem available in multipath inheritance. So just see this diagram. So here it is very simple. The problem we located is we have two copies of that x variable. Okay, so we want to instruct the compiler that both the copies of the variable or data member holds the similar value. If you are able to convey this information to the compiler, then compiler will easily sort out the ambiguity problem and it will continue its process. So just to do that, we are introducing the concept called virtual base class. So in the virtual base class, okay, just see the program. You have the base class as a name called A. You have one variable, one data member called A, and you have another class in the name of B. When this class is going to inherit the features of A publicly, we are supposed to use the keyword called virtual. So before the access specifier, we have to use the keyword called virtual. So by using this keyword virtual, this particular class will be called as virtual base class. So in this particular instance, the class A will be called as virtual base class. Same time, when you are creating C, again I am going for inheriting the features of B. Sorry, this should not be B. This should be A. Okay. So again, class C is going to inherit the features from A. Okay, publicly, and I am making this class as virtual base class by introducing this virtual keyword. Okay, so because of this introduction of virtual keyword, whenever you are going for inheriting the base class, it will solve that ambiguity problem arises in multipath inheritance. So when you are introducing this keyword, okay, now in the main you are very free to access this A, and this A can be easily accessed in the main program, and when compiling, the compiler can understood both the copies of A are similar. That is, a copy is received from class A, which is received by D through two different parts, and that's why both the copies are same. So the compiler can access any one of the copy and the problem will be solved. So this is how the ambiguity problem arises in virtual base class, sorry, in multipart inheritance has been solved. Thank you.